Imagine waking up 40,000 years ago and discovering that humans were not alone. Across distant valleys, frozen plains, forests, and rocky mountains, other human groups also lived. They made fires, cared for children, searched for food, and watched the same stars. Some were stronger, some survived colder places, some had lived there far longer. Yet today, only one remains. The strange mystery is not that ancient humans existed. The mystery is why almost all of them disappeared. This is not a story about monsters or sudden disasters. It is the story of people living ordinary lives in a changing world, until one day, their footsteps slowly stopped appearing. For most of history, ancient people had no idea that other human species once existed. To them, life was immediate. Find water, protect fire, stay together. But long before cities and written history, Earth contained multiple kinds of humans sharing the same world. Some groups hunted differently. Some traveled farther. Some adapted to cold. Others remained close to forests and familiar land. Their days may have looked surprisingly ordinary. Morning fire, searching for food, rest, stories, and survival. Ancient life was rarely comfortable. People woke with changing weather and uncertain food. Entire days could disappear searching for animals, collecting plants, repairing tools, or moving camp. Children learned through observation. Knowledge was carried in memory. Nothing was wasted. Different human species survived using different routines. Some moved constantly. Others returned to familiar places. But daily life always followed one rule: survive today, so tomorrow becomes possible. For thousands of years, this system worked, until conditions slowly began changing. Archaeological discoveries reveal something unexpected. Ancient human species often lived closer in time than most people imagine. Their worlds overlapped. The same rivers, the same hunting grounds, sometimes even the same caves. But living near one another did not guarantee conflict. Many days may have passed quietly. People eating, resting, watching weather, following migration. History is often imagined as dramatic moments, but disappearance may have started through thousands of ordinary days. Imagine daily life becoming slightly harder every year. Animals change direction. Weather becomes unpredictable. Resources appear later. Travel becomes longer. Small differences begin to matter. One group adapts faster. Another keeps old habits. Children grow up in a world different from their parents. Disappearance may not have felt dramatic. It may have felt normal. One difficult season, then another, until fewer fires appeared across the landscape. And eventually, silence. As generations passed, ancient humans faced a world that refused to stay the same. Seasons shifted, forests expanded and disappeared. Cold returned. Animals changed migration routes. To survive, human groups adapted differently. Some traveled farther. Some changed hunting methods. Some formed stronger social groups. Adaptation was not a single discovery. It was thousands of small decisions repeated every day. A different shelter, a different path, a different way to share food. Over time, these tiny choices created different futures. And for some human species, those futures slowly became shorter. Life became increasingly difficult during environmental pressure. Winter lasted longer in some regions. Food became uncertain. Travel required more energy. Groups needed cooperation more than ever. Ancient humans did not survive through strength alone. Communication mattered. Shared knowledge mattered. Trust mattered. Entire communities depended on decisions made each day. Some groups remained flexible. Others struggled to adapt quickly. Survival was becoming less about who was strongest and more about who changed first. Archaeological evidence reveals quiet signs of change. Old camps stopped appearing. Tool styles disappeared. Certain regions became empty. This does not suggest sudden collapse. Instead, it suggests gradual reduction, fewer visits, smaller groups, less movement. The ancient world did not announce disappearances. It simply became quieter. Each missing fire represented people whose daily routines no longer continued. History remembers survival, but archaeology often discovers absence. Daily routines reveal something important. Ancient human life depended on repeated actions. Wake, maintain fire, search, observe, return, rest, teach, repeat. These ordinary behaviors shaped survival. Groups that adjusted routines during changing conditions may have created advantages. A slightly different migration, a different use of shelter, more cooperation. Fewer voices carry across the landscape. Places once filled with movement become quiet. This reconstruction may be closer to reality than dramatic extinction stories. Human species may not have vanished suddenly. Their routines ended. Their traditions stopped. Their places became empty. And history quietly moved forward. When people imagine ancient human species, they often imagine constant conflict. But daily life was usually quieter than that. People spent time repairing tools, watching weather, caring for children, protecting fire, sharing food. Human relationships may have shaped survival as much as hunting. Groups with stronger cooperation could respond better to changing conditions. Knowledge spread faster. Resources lasted longer. Children learn more efficiently. History may not only belong to those who survived, but to those who stayed connected. Knowledge became one of humanity's greatest survival tools. Ancient people observed everything: wind direction, animal movement, safe shelters, seasonal change. This information was carried through memory rather than books. One generation taught the next. Over thousands of years, accumulated knowledge created resilience. Different human groups developed different ways of understanding the world. Some systems adapted. Others struggled. The ability to pass information may have changed human history more than physical strength ever could. Historical discoveries continue changing how we understand ancient humans. Evidence suggests ancient groups were more intelligent, social, and adaptable than once imagined. They were not primitive survivors wandering without purpose. They made decisions, built routines, created meaning, planned ahead. The disappearance of other human species becomes more mysterious because these were not helpless populations. They lived full human lives until circumstances slowly changed. One common misunderstanding is that ancient history moves through dramatic endings, but history often changes gradually. People usually do not realize they are living through transformation. A group does not wake up knowing it is disappearing. Life continues. Daily routines continue. Seasons continue. The world simply becomes different. This possibility makes ancient disappearance feel unexpectedly human, because change often looks ordinary while it happens. Imagine returning to an ancient valley after generations. The caves remain. The paths remain, the mountains remain, but fewer fires appear. Fewer voices carry across the landscape. Places once filled with movement become quiet. This reconstruction may be closer to reality than dramatic extinction stories. Human species may not have vanished suddenly. Their routines ended. Their traditions stopped. Their places became empty, and history quietly moved forward. To understand vanished human species, we must imagine ordinary life instead of dramatic endings. People still woke up, collected wood, prepared food, watched children, followed familiar paths. Even during difficult times, daily routines continued. Ancient people did not think in terms of extinction. They thought about weather, food, family, survival. This makes the mystery more powerful, because somewhere in history, ordinary human lives slowly became the last generation of their kind, without knowing it. As environments changed, surviving groups carried forward more than survival. They carried habits, knowledge, stories, movement patterns, ways of thinking. Human culture continued evolving, but traces of older human worlds may still exist inside us. Cooperation, observation, adaptation. These behaviors were shaped long before civilization. The disappearance of other species did not erase their influence. History moved forward, carrying pieces of many ancient lives. Archaeological evidence continues adding new pieces to this story. Ancient tools, camp remains, migration routes, fire traces. Each discovery reveals human experiences rather than simple dates. Researchers still debate exact reasons behind disappearance. But one pattern appears repeatedly. Survival belonged to groups that remained flexible. History may not reward perfection. It may reward adaptation. The ancient world changed constantly, and humans changed with it. So why did other human species vanish? There may never be one answer, not one battle, not one disaster, not one moment. Instead, thousands of ordinary decisions, changing environments, different adaptations, shifting routines. Some groups survived longer. Some adapted differently. Some disappeared quietly. The truth may feel less dramatic than stories, but more human. History is often written not by winners, but by those who remained. Today, we call ourselves human, as if that was always true. But for most of history, humanity was larger, more varied, more uncertain. Other human species once looked at the same sky, protected the same fire, and survived the same cold nights. Their story ended. Ours continued. But their disappearance reminds us of something important. Survival was never guaranteed. The human story we inherited exists because countless ancient lives endured long enough to pass it forward. And somewhere inside our everyday lives, their world still remains.